after my first WrestleMania, someone said, you know, you were at main event WrestleMania? I said, no, was I? And they said, yeah. And I go, hold on a minute. What the fuck is going on here? This is what pisses me off. On Ric Flair's documentary on ESPN, he talks, and Hogan said and agreed with him. This is what makes me mad. He said, now, what it was, they put me and Flair in some house shows against Piper and Hogan to sell tickets before WrestleMania, because there was only 4 pay-per-views in the year at that moment. So in between those 4 months, they'd run house shows. They wouldn't put me in the singles with Hogan, but they'd put me in tags just to sell out the arenas. WWF knows what the main event in WrestleMania is a year before, right? For the most part. They did back then. So for Flair to get on ESPN and say that the reason he didn't get main event is because the matches, he got watered down working with Hogan. I was the one working with Hogan. He was just a fucking pawn in that game. You know, it never had him, and you know the word penciled in. He never was penciled in main event. I was the main event because I'd given my notice for WrestleMania. You know, they weren't going to put, you know, Flair couldn't sell that out. You know, it's just the lies what I hate. And I hate liars. I hate liars. And I'm sure Vince, that's why he said that. Go, you got Hogan's spot. You know, at that particular month or that year of the business, Hogan was already on the downhill skid. He wasn't getting cheered. You know, that Three Stooges comeback wasn't working anymore. So when you're doing that kind of match after that long of a time, people are going to shit on that. He'd had his run, and they needed someone new. And I'm sure Vince, that's why he said that. Go, you got Hogan's spot. So we were in Albany, New York at Royal Rumble. I think Hogan pulled me out from the outside or something, and they started booing him. All right, when we get back to the dressing room, you know, Hogan is screaming and acting like a woman. And I go, hold on a minute. What the fuck is going on here? And he's screaming at Vince, you set this up. You made this happen. I didn't know Vince was that bad of a person at the time, you know, that did things like that. I thought that was just all hearsay. So I went to Vince's office. I said, Vince, listen, man. I stuck my hand out. I said, I'm gonna thank you for the opportunity, but I'm gone. I cannot work in a place that grown men act like women. And he said, no, I'm not shaking your hand. I said, well, it's not going to do you any good. I'm leaving. And I'm not kidding you. I never looked at a booking sheet. I didn't care who I was working with. I didn't care. It was a business to me. I didn't care if I won or lost. I just wanted to get paid. I don't even remember my first WrestleMania. I didn't realize it was WrestleMania. I don't fucking care. You know, after my first WrestleMania, someone said, you know, you were at main event WrestleMania? I said, no, was I? And they said, yeah. And I remember the Hoosier Dome, but I didn't really realize that was WrestleMania. I do remember doing the interviews for it, and because I had that Southern accent, I guess I was saying Wrestling Mania or saying it the wrong way. And there was a big sign there that said, tell Sid, just say Mania. And what it was at that point, Vince was really upset with me because I had already given my notice to quit. And the reason is because, you know, I left a big guaranteed contract to come into this place. And what the deal was, I was going to do TVs and pay-per-views for 1 year. And after WrestleMania, I was going to be the world champ. And I was going to start my first house show. He had the Fire of the Warrior at SummerSlam, and all that shit changed.